Yeah, my Travel Wins podcast, I'm lucky to have Bethany London. I'm going to enjoy saying this, Bethany. Bethany is the soul, human, and company optimizer of London Heights. Does that sound good?
Yes.
You're like, okay. Many hats. I really appreciate the time. Because of what we've gone through with the lockdown and everything that's going on with so much in business and still going on, I'm super excited to talk to you about what you see and how you see the world changing in that end. How are you doing today, Bethany?
I'm doing great. And I want to say, because when you say soul, I'm like, it's so interesting to hear it versus seeing it written.
Yeah.
Because the soul, it's not like this is the one thing. It's when we're talking about the soul, we're talking about the soul, the energetic soul. Like you think of your higher self or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to share that.
It makes it real, huh? It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Yes. The energetic body of humans and companies, and there's energy to it all.
Well, like we were talking right beforehand, was I think with everything that's going on with the business world, entertainment, athletics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't know if the Tokyo Olympics are going to happen. And I talked to some Olympic athletes before the closure of last year, and like one guy, he wanted to retire at the Tokyo Olympics of 2020. That was going to be his swan song. And now you had to delay it a whole other year. And now they're still talking about they might not do it again. So, there's a lot of interesting, I won't say negative, but vibes out in the world. How do we get the positive stuff into our world? And that's where you come in.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, like you're talking about the Olympians, it's like a gray area. A lot of people, or if you're in a relationship, it's like you're on the fence kind of thing about so many areas of your life. And at the end of the day, really, it is a beautiful opportunity to take a step back and get quiet and figure out what really brings you joy and follow that. That's kind of, I would say, like a key thing in one of my courses is, and it's become a big thing with the Marie Kondo. Yeah, I know we were just talking about feng shui, but it's like looking at everything in your home and saying, does this bring me joy? Does this bring me love? Does this bring me happiness? And if it doesn't, get rid of it.
Well, yeah,
that's what we want.
I mean, I definitely am reading a lot about the depression that's going on with people that haven't worked in a year or lost their jobs, or I mean, there's a lot of muckety muck going on. I don't know I'm not using the proper terms, I'm sure, but
well, and for some people, I was just working with somebody last week, and I'm like, they really felt the collective grief, and then they were dealing with someone that their mother actually that had been fighting cancer in 2020, so that's like really tough, right? So for them, dealing with already anyone that's empathic and sensitive is feeling, or was feeling in 2020 at least, a huge weight of all the death that's happening around the world, the unknown, the misalignment of people, let's say, since I'm all about alignment.
Yeah.
And it's heavy. And that brings, I mean, a lot of people gain weight. A lot of people have struggled mentally. And it's just become like you're walking in quicksand trying to keep your head above water.
So true.
So it's been really difficult for people. And if you start to, like we were just saying with the stuff around your home, anything that you're doing, like what can you do? What's next? If you're feeling bored, even, and just stuck, and you're just sitting on the couch. I'm sitting on the couch right now talking to you. I'm like, let's just go here.
Just happen to work.
But if I was sitting here and I'm bored, like, okay, what could I possibly be inspired to do right now? What is inspiring? Rather than like forcing, because a lot of people right now are in this energy of force, like anything that they're doing, whether it is work and they do have a job, they aren't even grateful for it, but that's fine. We're all owed our emotions, and it's about acknowledging them. But like, what could in this moment, one little thing, even if it's just sending a text to someone saying you love them or something, that could bring you some sort of inkling of joy, can start to spark like the next moment of joy.
I totally agree with that. You know, just with what I've gone through the last couple of weeks, you know, you never know. That's all you can say. You never know because the guest I had, when she sent me a text saying, "Hey, it's so great getting to know you now, and what a great friend you've been." You know, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." But now I'm like, "Oh shit, that's very cool." You know, it's just
right.
So you always, and then I had one friend pass away from COVID. He's my age, like my best friend in high school. So you just don't take time for granted because you don't know.
Yeah. And a lot of people have transitioned on to new things because they have realized, what have I been doing the last, 30, 40, 50 years of my life?
Well, I think that the one very cool thing about you as well is that you're not just a one trick pony. I mean, you have your real estate business, you have your art, you have your investments, you have a lot of different things going on because that's what fills you up. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that, and I think it's really cool.
And, this is one of the reasons I originally moved to LA.
Yeah.
Because when I first went to LA, I think it was 8 years now. Oh, I think it's 8 years. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone here is a Flash person. It's okay if you're, working on I was working on a startup at the time. It's okay if you're working on a startup and you're working at a bar or whatever at night and you're also wanting to be an actor. Not that that was what I was doing, but I was working on a startup here in Portland, which is where I am right now, visiting my mom, and also working in real estate. And it was just like, pick one thing, Bethany, pick one thing. And I'm like, no way. Like, I can't pick one thing. I enjoy multiple things. So I felt very welcomed in LA. But now I feel like, everybody is working multiple things.
Well, I think the computer, and I think working from home, I think the fragility that we all realized how unimportant our jobs are if you weren't considered an essential worker, I have several of my stores that I sell to for my day job that are out of business. And you're like, wow. And then some of them thrived because they sold tack and feed. And so they were able to stay open because they were essential. And you just realize that it's very fragile. I mean, that one company was around since the 40s. And they're gone. So you're like,
yep. I was a part owner of a restaurant actually in Portland that was like a really high end, amazing restaurant. And they shut down last year.
And we got a couple of friends like that.
Yep. That's so sad. I'm like, you had the best burger and the best Bloody Marys in Portland.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Too expensive. Yeah.
But I think that's where having your feet in multiple things, like if you were just a restaurateur and that was the only restaurant you had, you put all your eggs into that basket, man, you're starting over.
Right. Yeah. I was just a little minor investor guy. Yeah. No, but no, thank goodness.
Do you, with the people you're coaching and working with now, do you see more of that, even more so than like a year ago, with people doing multiple things?
I just feel in general that is becoming more and more of a thing. What I'm seeing for a lot of people that I'm working with, and of course that's probably how I end up working with them, is that people are wanting to shift up their lives. They're like, okay, I've been doing it this way for this long. It's time for me to do something different. Even with like the company and the CEOs that I've been working with, I started working with a CEO or a company. So working on the soul of the company. And it's so funny because I do life coaching, but mostly I'm doing the energetic healing and stuff. And he's like, I hired a life coach while I'm working on the soul of the company. I'm like, there you go. That's great.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I could have been doing the life coaching too, but I'm like, nope, I'm meant to be working on the company aspect of it all. And so it was a really cool experience. But people in general are wanting to shift things up, and other CEOs that I've spoken to, it's like everyone's down. How do I raise the morale with the company and the culture? And it's kind of, it's a grand brand perspective and shift that needs to be happening, and how can you bring some joy to people so they enjoy what they're doing.
For the CEOs that are out there, or like VPs of sales, I can tell you that our company has changed forever because all of a sudden we're now not going to be going to our corporate office
right
4 times a year because we do seasonals, and so we used to go to Denver, and all 16 sales reps from around the country and in Canada would get together, and we would talk to the guys that make the boots down in Mexico and the production people, and then we'd see the new line. Like, we're going to be coming out with spring 2022 soon. And that's all going to, obviously we didn't do that during COVID because we couldn't fly and all that. And now the company has realized, hey, we're saving a lot of money by not bringing 16 people from around the country and 4 times a year. And we're just going to keep doing the video conferencing. And I know a lot of the sales calls are being the same way. Like, some companies are saying, hey, we're just going to keep doing the video conferencing instead of flying people around the country and all that. So, but
that is interesting, though. Are they throwing the money elsewhere? Because I have other clients that are like VPs of sales, and she's like, my company wants me to spend more money and do more and more and more events. It's like they want me to work harder because they have all this money to spend now. It has been freed up.
Wow. No,
and they want to continue spending it, or the budgets won't be increased the next year.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, I don't know the answer to that one. Because, I mean, you would think there's, I mean, you go 16 people, put them up for 2 nights in a hotel, it's 3,200, you probably got 8 to 10 grand between food, all that. 4 times a year is $40,000 of pure cash that you're not going to have to spend anymore. But, does that make up for the lack of loss of sales? I don't know. But one thing I've talked to a couple of the business people that I've had on the show is, how do you build rapport with people, clients, and your staff, if you're only doing remote meetings? Because there's just a disconnect doing a video call versus hey, let's go to dinner, let's go to a ball game, or let's go golfing, or let's go bowling, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
well, you want to talk energy?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm tuning into the souls and stuff, and the people, I'll see like cement around their feet, or like, let's say it's a relationship or heartbroken, someone passed. I've seen crazy things like, what's it called? The cellophane around their heart, like squeezing the life out of their heart, right? So it can't breathe. And so it's almost like I see in metaphors a lot. So when I'm looking at Zoom calls and doing all these things via Zoom, sure, it's an awesome opportunity to still be able to connect and whatnot, but it also is a screen. At the end of the day, there is a wall between you and the other person on the other side, or the hundreds and thousands of people on the other side. Yeah. There is a screen. So energetically, that is also there. And so it's almost like a glaze. Like when I tune into Zoom, it's like a glaze, like a numbness over your eyes. Like you're there, but you're not there. So how do you break that?
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone can do it, but I would acknowledge, like, okay, we have a screen in front of us. We have a wall that's in between us. Let's break that down. Let's ask some questions so we can actually connect and do something out of the normal and ordinary from your everyday work and what you're doing, to make this more interesting and exciting. And how can you bring joy? And I would literally get vulnerable. I probably would go there, be honest, truth about what you're feeling.
Yep.
Like, even if you're not connecting with the person on the other side, say, hey, I just feel like I'm having trouble connecting with you. And then they'll be like, wait, what? Oh, and then they might share something or be totally taken off guard, and it will kind of like shock the wall out from between you, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of people, especially business people, will be afraid to do that, though.
Yes, I'm sure. So oh my gosh, I did a workshop once at this healthcare company. I don't know, probably like 200 people. And one of the things that I had them do was walk around the room and make eye contact. They didn't even have to say anything. And let me tell you, this company, because I've done it before with other companies, this company struggled. It was so hard for them to even attempt to look into the eyes of the person in front of them for like 3 seconds. I don't know how long I had them do it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to be any sort of intimacy or intimate in connection with coworkers. But at the end of the day, the reality is we're all trying to do the best we can, or we all are doing the best we can, or the best we know how to. And at the end of the day, we all just want love. And I think our souls, what I see is that they want to feel happy and joy. So how can you ignite that in the work field, the workforce?
Yeah.
And with your friends and family, if you're at dinner or on a phone conversation, instead of talking about other people or all the problems, like, how can we be vulnerable? And this is what I'm looking to create in my life.
Well, yeah, my wife and I, we talk about, like one of us won't bring our phone to dinner now because there's no reason for both of us to need a phone. So,
I love that.
So like, I'm leaving my phone behind. Okay, I'll bring mine, just in case, but then we don't bring it out. Like, and then I saw, some people, you hear things like, don't even bring it out and put it on the table.
Right.
Because even if you don't look at it, it's still distracting for the other person. And now they think, now they're competing with your phone.
Like, well, what? Did we miss anything? Is there anything? Yeah, it's like a little bit of an addiction.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. And I think the negative of us all, like, with having jobs and podcasts and wives and kids and all that, there, and you have your multiple jobs and careers and activities. When do you shut it down? So what kind of advice do you give business people? No, don't give away all your secrets, but
yeah. Oh no. Well, and just really quickly going back to the engaging and the vulnerable, there's all sorts of different questions out there. There's books on questions. And I would just pick out questions that resonate with you and the purpose that you're trying to convey. And you can bring that to, the dinner or the meeting, the Zoom meeting, and just to spark a different type of energy, because that really is the goal. And then you can go into like the business. And when to shut it down? Oh my goodness. I was talking to the CEO. I'm like, when do you sleep? He goes, maybe sleep like 2 hours at a time. And then he has, he's talking to Asia and all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need you to sleep more. Like, I'm telling him this.
I know, it's crazy.
I'm like, your company needs it. Your company needs this. Your family needs it also, but your company needs that. And I can see that energetically. And he's like, okay, I made it to 4 hours. And I only wake up once in the middle of the night to check my email.
That's a real problem.
That's great. I'm like, I guess that's progress. I'm like, you've got to figure out a way and somebody that you can trust, that you can rely on, because that's what it has to do with a lot of people, especially if it's a smaller company. This was I guess it's a 10-figure company now, but yeah, a lot of people, it's like everything weighs on their shoulders. And that in itself is a metaphor, like the energetic weight on the shoulders, and that will keep you up at night. And it's also, going to throw this out there, don't get too offended, because it's all about awareness. Once you know, it helps. A control thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, nobody can do it except for me. You want something done, you got to do it yourself. Like, all those phrases and lines that we've heard going up are ingrained in us, and it kind of just takes over, and it's a control thing. And so there is a beauty in hiring the right people, in knowing that you hire the right people, and trusting that you hire the right people. And that is some of the stuff that we work on, just really getting true to your core and figuring out what truth is at the end of the day when you're making big decisions. And when you can do that and fully trust somebody, then you can start to relax and like let a lot of that control go and not have to be on your phones and checking things all the time. I mean, obviously it is important. You're responsible. This is another big thing that's in one of my courses, is you're responsible for it all. We all are responsible for every single decision that we make. And if it's a company and someone is, let's say laundering money, technically the CEO is responsible for that. Even though they may have not a clue that it was happening, they must claim responsibility and figure out how to solve this stuff. So, yeah, when you really get in tune with who you are in alignment, my book Get Aligned Now, it has some of the basic intuition stuff in it to support gaining that truth and clarity. From there, you can start to have a lot more confidence in every decision that you make, which really can take a lot of that weight off the shoulders.
I'm gonna order one of those books.
I'm like, does this make sense at all?
I know somebody that's getting that damn book.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Good.
Well, I had read, this is going back, I'm old, so 35 years ago, reading, and it was getting the monkeys off your back.
Yeah.
And so, because your workers, and I was a manager at the time. I had 70 employees plus working for me. And I'd come home just stressed beyond belief, just the brain popping out of my head. And it was always, well, I had to do this because Mike needed me to do this, and then Bill needed me to add this, and then Peggy had me do this. And it was, they were just taking the monkeys off their back and putting it on mine because they knew I would take it.
Yep.
Because I felt, well, I'm the boss, so I should do more of this. And they put so many monkeys on my back that I could no longer walk.
Yeah.
And so I
believe you.
So I had to listen to them and not accept their monkey, but acknowledge their monkey and tell them how to fix it with their monkey.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, even what was it? 2 weeks ago, I went to Mammoth. And I emotionally was having a personal, massive emotional roller coaster, coupled to top it off with the fact that my family, we put their dog down that weekend, and it was just like a shocker to me. And if you know me, I'm like a big dog person. So I was just wanting to bawl my eyes out, but I'm not going to because I'm with a group of people.
Yeah.
That's where I was at. And I just ended up calling one of my best friends. I'm like, I just need to vent. I'm on the gondola. I have the whole thing to myself, COVID. And I vented to her for 4 minutes. She took it, and I was basically passing all my stuff on to her. But I gave her a heads up what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
She was super supportive, and I felt like $1 million afterwards. It was I just needed to get that out of my system,
Yeah, totally.
and take the weight off. And it was so helpful. I'm like, okay, I can go back and ski with other people now. I was just like, I need to go ski by myself for a few moments. So yeah, I mean, that's not a monkey thing, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's a release, right? Being able to, I am remarried, and my new wife, I love the way we argue, if that makes sense.
I love that line. That sounds like a best-selling book right there.
I'll have to put that down somewhere.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. But because I always feel better when we argue, because we both let it out and then we go, okay. Versus one party holding it in for 3 months and being mad for 3 months and me not knowing why. With my wife, it's like she tells me exactly what she's feeling. And then, and I tell her back, and then we don't go to bed angry. So 8 years in, we're good.
Good, beautiful.
So,
I love the way we argue. That's such a great title.
Man, no, I'm gonna write that one down.
Ooh, a little spark. Well, my business cards say catalyst. I'm a catalyst because I'm really good at taking in. Companies will put millions and millions of dollars into R&D.
Absolutely.
You hire someone like me, I come in and I just give you intuitively what direction to go, and it saves millions of dollars. But people with think tanks, you throw ideas at me, something else will bounce off. So I feel it. I'll feel the experience in my body, and that is also in my book. So it's very cool.
You have what, 4 books now? Or
yeah, I think so.
right.
I mean, really, it's the last one is the big one for me because that was the other ones are like the other ones are good, and I've seen other books that are similar.
Okay.
But I don't know how to say this. Mannerisms, my very first book, Mannerisms, essentially was an article that I wrote, and it went viral, the article. And I'm like, oh, well, once I moved to LA, everyone's like, you need to have a book. So that's kind of how that happened. I'm like, okay, I'll turn it into a book. So I just forced this article that went viral, and I put it into a book format. But really, I don't know how long it is. I don't even know if it's 100 pages. Like, it's short. So this book that I just wrote, Get a Line Now, was very much like a download that kept coming to me and coming to me and coming to me that I was writing for a few years.
It's
very different.
And that book is available on Amazon. How's that?
Yes, and the Apple Store and Barnes and Noble, and yes,
and your website,
and my website.
But
I'm the only one with the hardcover. If you really want one of those, you got to reach me personally.
Oh, really?
Because I had all these book launches scheduled because I released it on 11/11/19. I knew that I had to get it out before 2020.
Yeah.
I had some publishers that were considering me, but they're like, we need to have another meeting. And I'm like, okay, no. And I didn't know what was going to happen in 2020. I just knew that my book needed to be out for some reason before then. So I had planned parties like in Portland, and I was going to go to the East Coast, and I have all these hardbacks, and they're in a box. Or a few boxes.
I'll have to DM you and get a
I'll
signed
have to get you the hardcover. Yeah.
Get a signed book.
Yes, definitely.
That'd be awesome. Well, and I always feel like my dad was big into Tony Robbins back when he started out, and I'm talking
love it
86, 87.
So cool.
And so I always listened to it. I didn't go to all the programs and all that, but just the mentality, I think, and I really liked what you said that even professional athletes have coaches. So why don't you? And I liked when you said that because it made sense to me. It's like, LeBron James has a coach. The best player in the world still needs a coach. So, but
so true.
That's kind of what you do, though, right? I mean, it's like you're helping CEOs.
I pretty much help everyone. I've just recently realized how powerful it is to work with a company because I can affect so many more people at one time. And so I kind of like that. Egotistically, I love that.
Well, more is better.
Yes, I love helping. The more, the better, merrier. So anyone, once you get to that point, in people I've worked with in the past, they'll hit like some sort of new rock bottom of some sort, and they'll call me like, Bethany, I need a session. When can we get a session? I need a session ASAP. So that happens a lot. People are good, and then they'll hit me up for just like a one-off.
Yeah.
For a boost and a clearing. So that happens too. But it's there's so many more people I feel like these days that are really opening up and becoming what some people call woke. And really it's an awareness. At the end of the day, it's a new awareness. It's that 6th, 7th sense kind of thing that you start tuning in and you're like, okay, this is what I'm all about. This is actually what I'm interested in. I don't know what book I was reading. Someone was Shaman Durek. I'm reading Shaman Durek's book. I don't know if you've heard of him at all, but we do similar things, and we definitely have different truths. Because I'm reading his book, I'm like, not 100% in agreement, but it was really cool. He had somebody that acquired their family's slaughterhouse, basically, and the guy was like, "Yeah, this is what I do," and next thing you know, he's working with Shaman Durek, and he's like, I can't believe this is what I do. Because it was like he was living in this, let's say, I feel what's coming to me is almost like a costume of his father who had left it to him. Gotcha. So once he takes up the costume and he gets closer to who he is, and he's like, whoa, no, this is what I like to do. It's way over here in this direction. you know, so it's really about like finding your truth, and a lot of people are calling it woke. I'm just calling it aware.
Here, I got a weird
and
question
from there you can figure out what inspires you. Yeah, let me have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it just because I'm old, or do you think it's societal that more younger? Do you think younger people are getting more woke? Meaning, you know, when I was 20, in my 20s, it was literally you get up, you go to work, you work hard, you know, you have kids or a wife or a relationship, and that's it. There was no internet back then, so there was no way.
Right.
I mean, it was very difficult to find a Tony Robbins. I mean, you had to know somebody that knew somebody that had tapes, and you know, and I'm talking cassette tapes, you know. But now it's easy to find people, you know, like yourself that have YouTube channels and Instagram channels, and so do you think more people are becoming more aware, or is it just that we're older now that we care about that kind of stuff? Do you see younger kids worrying about that?
Oh, yeah. I think younger kids are very much invincible.
Yep.
And they're living, especially, I mean, I put myself out there on social media, but let me tell you, I am uncomfortable almost every single time, and delete, cancel, energetically. You know, I'm like, I'm not doing this for me. But like young people, they are just making millions and millions of dollars doing random things.
No fear.
And they're just completely invincible, no fear, putting themselves out there. They've been doing it a lot longer too. They probably started at a younger age. A lot more pictures are being taken now of children than ever, probably before, with like a regular camera with what was it, 24 shots per lens or per film? I don't know.
Totally. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, or 32. I'm old enough for all that. So yeah, there's just this like massive comfort. My friend's daughter I was just talking to, she just started college. She's also started a company last year, and they're making $1,000 a day now. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So it's just like, it's almost like the norm for them to just be just out there and doing whatever, doing a review on YouTube. And next thing you know, they're just racking in the dough. So as far as being personal development in that aspect, a lot of what I'm seeing with, are you familiar? You probably are familiar with the term light workers.
Yeah.
So a lot of people use the term light workers. And so there's a lot of that happening, but to me, it almost comes through as like an ego thing. Like one of the things that I broke through last year for myself, which if there are any light workers listening, this is going to blow your mind. But we are programmed as a light worker to have to do something, to like have to support somebody. So also a lot of women, it's just like ingrained in them that they have to support. They have to be somewhat submissive and or doormatish, and they have to, you know, just always support the family.
Yeah.
Like that's ingrained in women. It's something that a lot of women have to break through. For me, I realized I had an energetic contract, and this is something that I'll break through energetically, or cords. When you have a relationship, people call me to cut their cords. So I had this rule that I had to support others. And then if you want to go into past lives, and I know this gets woo-woo for some people, and really at the end of the day, it's whatever your truth is, truth for you.
Yep.
So for my truth, people kept saying that they saw me at war, and that like I was like the leader of the war, and I was like trying to save all these people. So it's like constantly I was in this battle of trying to save all my people. And so coming into this, I'm still was trying to save all these people. And when someone was like, we need to take that contract and clear it and delete it from your energetic being, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with myself then?
Yeah, what's next?
If that's gone? And they're like, it's okay, Bethany. You just choose to do it then. It's not like you have to. So do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden I can still support people, but it doesn't have to like, it's not like a must, or if you don't, then this is going to happen. You know, it's like, I just get to do it if I want. And guess what? It brings me joy and tingles, and I love it. So I can continue doing it. But so many light workers, the way I see it on like social media, I'm like, what are you doing? You have a contract going. You don't need this.
That's it. It's so cool to, well, I mean, you know, like I said, 20 years ago, How would people have learned about light workers?
No idea.
It was all, you had to know somebody that knew somebody.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe you ran across a book at the library. People don't even know what libraries are anymore, you know? So, I don't know. But it's just interesting how, I mean, like my show's been listened to. I just added 2 more countries today. It's like,
cool.
125 countries now. You know,
cool.
Somebody in Zambia and Mozambique listened to my show one of my shows this weekend. So
amazing.
That's the power I think we all have now, if we choose to use it.
Exactly. It's all a choice. Yeah.
You know, and just, I mean, think about the people you're reaching, and then it just spirals out because, you know, who are they reaching? And then, so I don't know, it can go on. It's a good deal.
Such a great deal.
Maybe, you know, I was just thinking, maybe I'll buy 2 of your books. I'll do one as a giveaway when your episode is.
I love that.
Is that cool?
100%. Would love, yeah. Share it.
So
I got boxes of them. I need to do something. I need to start running all sorts of promotions.
You're not the only author I've heard from. There's a couple that I've talked to, especially the last couple of weeks, that, you know, like you said, there were no book tours. Yeah. And so, like, what do you do with, you know, if you can't go out to the Barnes & Noble and do the book signings and all that?
I bet if I asked it's an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old, they would know exactly what to do. They have all sorts of creative ideas.
It'd be all over TikTok with different videos of it.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's what you got to do. You gotta.
Yeah, you just run promotion.
Are you on TikTok?
I am. On TikTok.
Is it just Bethany London?
TikTok, I would say, is like the most raw, like the raw. Like I get a little more, let's say, dressed up for LinkedIn and YouTube videos. Okay. TikTok, I'm like, I have thought, this is meant to get out there. Here we go. Boom. I'll be sitting in a car or wherever, sitting on the floor and just share a message.
That sounds like some of my past shows.
Nice.
I before I had my mixing board and all that, I used to do them. I could do them remotely, and I had 2 episodes that I did when I was out on the road because it was the only time I could get a hold of these people. And one was a NASCAR driver, and, you know, obviously super busy. And I pulled over, and I was like, I got to roll up the windows because I don't want noise on the recording. Well, now I know how dogs feel when they get left in a car. Because it was only like 85 degrees out, and I'm literally sweating.
That was me earlier today. I had a Zoom call, and I'm like, I'll just sit in the car. And next thing you know, it's like flaring hot inside.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, this is not working. And I have complete empathy now for all the dogs you see locked in cars. And it's like, man, that's got to suck.
And I had the windows open, too. And it was still hot. So
I did another one where I kept the windows up because I had traffic. It was near a freeway. I was up in Northern California. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing this anymore. That's it. I don't care. I didn't want to be uncomfortable for an hour, 45 minutes.
Right.
So you haven't mentioned your Reiki work. Am I saying that correctly?
Reiki?
Yeah.
Reiki. Yeah, well, I mean, like we were talking about before, I don't think we've talked about feng shui yet, but I think all of this started for me with feng shui, and then I got into a lot of attraction. This was, 15 years ago? Yeah, and it's kind of evolved. So I've done Reiki. I did not become a master in Reiki because what's interesting is I had been doing theta healing. Theta healing is an energetic healing, and it's really powerful. And I started working even with cancer patients and stuff, stage 4, with that. And so I from there, I already saw that I was kind of, when I would go into let's say a session, and I work with a lot of people virtually, mostly actually. So I'm not really paying attention to what's happening because I just have my eyes closed and I'm doing things. And I started to realize my hands were moving all over the place when I was doing this. And so then when I went to learn Reiki, because my friend was like, I want to teach you Reiki. I just became a Reiki master and I know you'd love it. I'm like, okay, great, cool. I noticed that I was already incorporating a lot of Reiki into what I was doing, if you want to quote unquote do it that way.
Yeah.
Or label it that. but I feel like more people are comfortable with that. That's one of the things that I feel like has become more widely known, kind of like yoga and acupuncture, which is all energy stuff. So yeah, I've been doing some sort of Reiki for a while. If you want to call it that, I just didn't know through theta healing. So
that's very cool. Well, hey,
it's so cool.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time. What is the best way for my listeners to follow you or see what you have going on or get in touch with you?
Yeah, there's always all sorts of things happening. So
I know you're on TikTok.
Feel free to follow. And that's the other thing is like I don't always put everything on TikTok that I put over here on LinkedIn or YouTube. So it's all different, or Instagram. But my name is Bethany Londyn. It's Londyn. So the second O is a Y. That's the cool factor.
A lot of Y's.
And yep. And on YouTube, I think it's Bethany Londyn Manifesting Catalyst. I think on TikTok it's Manifesting Catalyst. But regardless, my business courses for like CEOs that's on london.academy. So there's no .com. The .com is academy. So london.academy. And then I also have my normal website, which is bethanylondyn.com.
So basically, if someone wants to find you, they can find you.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't find me. And it is amazing the people that reach out to me from all over the world as well, like you were saying. It's just like crazy. Yeah.
Well, you know what's? I wonder if you've had this experience. I've been doing the podcast three years this month, and I put all my episodes on I have my website, I have LinkedIn, I have Instagram. I have put on my personal Facebook page and all that, and I still have my friends that go, "Do you have a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I feel like I'm putting it out too much," and now I got people still asking me, "Well, what's it about? I haven't seen anything."
Yeah,
I'm like, I've been doing an episode a week at least for 3 years, and you don't know about it? So I don't know. It's almost like you can't do enough, but then you feel bad, like you don't want to do too much.
Well, and that's the thing is like if people don't want to follow you, they'll unfollow you. If they're annoyed,
Yeah.
And if they want to know, they'll keep following you. But yeah, you just made me think of this really crazy story that happened. So I hired somebody on Upwork. Do you know Upwork?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I hired someone on Upwork to work on like a side project I did last year. I started children's mindfulness cartoon. Now I'm putting out a children's book and children's coloring book and all that on Amazon, probably this week. Anyway, yeah, because I was inspired. I got like all these children's stories and I found ways to support and they're great. Anyway, so I hired this person on Upwork and he's like, I showed my sister who you were and she has already read your book. And he's probably like in the Philippines. I don't remember where he was, but I was like, what? It's so cool.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
It's out. Everything's around the world. We're all one and connected. It's so beautiful.
That's the neat thing. That's the one thing I truly do love about, whether I ever monetize my show or not. I know people in different countries, because now I get, 156 episodes in or whatever. And so I get listens every day from different, shows from 2 years ago. And I'm like, that's so cool that somebody listened to something I did 2 years ago for an hour.
Wow.
Is now listening to it in a country I've never heard of. So that's cool.
Yeah. Our story, everyone's a gift to everyone. Seriously.
Yeah.
Or maybe not everyone's a gift to everyone, but there's a gift for somebody. There's a nugget.
Yeah.
When I first started videos, I hated doing videos. I was so uncomfortable, but I'm like, if one person benefits, it's just one person, then I did my job.
I'm still bad with the videos.
They're awkward, but I don't know.
Yeah.
People appreciate them. It allows them to feel close.
Yeah, and
when they're listening and learning.
It's weird that I've had some people that follow me and listen to the show, and they'll reach out to me, and they're like, "Oh, it's so cool that I'm like, you realize I'm just Pete, like I'm literally the guy that's going to the gas, Yeah, I'm just me sitting in my house talking to some really cool people. So
love it.
That's awesome.
That's the best when I'm like introduced to celebrities. I have no idea who they are.
My wife's
like, oh, you're so great with people, and then you find out they're a host of it. national talk show. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
My wife's really bad about that. Like she's like, yeah, whether we're Beverly Hills or by the beach or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, that's Luke Walton. She's like, who? Where?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, that's Luke Walton. He's the head coach
If you're listening, Luke, sorry.
He's the head coach of the LA Lakers. He played for him for a couple years. His dad's a Hall of Fame.
I have no idea.
Dad's a Hall of Fame player, Bill Walton. You know, and she's like, yeah, no, that means nothing to me.
Yep.
Like,
so great.
Okay. So it's all cool. Hey, thank you
We're
again.
all just people.
Yeah, and then some. I'll definitely reach out to you about getting the books. And,
yeah.
We'll definitely do a giveaway. That'd be cool. And then,
perfect.
Oh man,
I'll be back in LA tomorrow.
Hopefully, we will stay in touch. It was great talking to you.
Okay. Yes, likewise. Thank you so much. And yeah, keep me posted on everything. Can't wait to hear how it supports everyone.
You got a deal. Sounds great.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Bethany.
You're welcome.
Have a good trip home. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.